We have some scientists who worked at a lab in New York City, or New York, for the police force. Their names are Shannon Morris, Melissa Lee, and Kevin Rafferty, and they're suing the crime lab because they tried to correct errors they saw were going on in the lab that were beneficial to the prosecution in cases, and the errors that they pointed out were going to be if they point out the errors, then the defense, that would be to the defense's benefit. And so they were marginalized, they were criticized, and so now they're suing. And specifically, there was a computerized DNA analysis system called TrueAllele. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You are.
You are.
Okay, good. And so it was guaranteeing the result of DNA tests, but it turns out that using this system was getting people off, so to speak. It was getting, defendants were being acquitted because of it, and the cops didn't like that. So the cops came back and applied pressure to them. And so as their attorney, we got a quote from their attorney, a gentleman named John Bailey. He said, "There are people that are very pro-prosecution. They were putting pressure on scientists to reach conclusions that were not scientifically valid. That's what my clients were objecting to." Okay, so there were 37 staffers trained using this system, and the 3 of them were the most vocal in their criticism of the department's old analysis method and wanting to move on to this new system. And yet, a year before the 5-year contract was up, the TrueAllele system was abandoned, and that's what the controversy is about. So, of course, the medical examiner office spokeswoman says that there's no problem and everything going on is on the up and up and reliable. So, what do you think is happening? Do you think it's most likely that they have a case, or do you think they have some other grievance that is at play here?
Well, I don't know, and we can't possibly know, but what I do know is that there's a real problem when a lab services the police or the prosecution, and there is both an explicit and an implicit bias in favor of prosecution.
Right.
Because even if they don't say, "Hey, Malcom, I need you to fix the evidence in my favor," even if they don't do that, which I think that's extremely rare. I say, "Malcom, I'm working on this case. I've been busting my ass on it. I really, 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 really need to get this conviction."
Yeah.
You're going to just want to help out.
The guy's definitely guilty.
Yeah.
Because there's often other evidence.
Yeah, and they'll say, "By the way, you know what he did? He chopped up that little girl into 18 pieces. Then he ate her liver. Right? We got to get this conviction." And you feel like, "Oh shit! I don't want to be the guy who blows it all up because I say that there's no DNA match." I think the real solution here is to have a blind test system.
Yeah.
So that the people who are doing the testing don't know who they're doing the testing for, whether it's for the police, whether it's a placebo fake test, or whether it's just for some private client. Like, they shouldn't know. Otherwise, there's a strong incentive to be pro-prosecution.
Well, the question is, are you trying to get convictions, or are you trying to get at the truth? But no, I'm serious, because prosecutors, they run, they're elected officials, they run on the number of prosecutions they get, and they have a vested interest in, successfully prosecuting criminals in these trials.
And successful attorneys don't advertise like, "I'm the guy who proved what actually happened over again." They're like, "I won or I lost."
That's right.
That's how you keep a record, not like the truth.
And this is not the first case. I think you and I discussed in a post-game, which you should definitely watch our post-games on Fridays, that last April there was an FBI scandal where hair analysis for decades had been flawed, where the analysis that came back was weighted in the prosecution's favor over and over again, and like thousands of cases, or almost 1,000 cases, something like that. And it just points to how messed up our justice system is. But it's also it's all the more worse because we expect DNA analysis to be perfect. Like, we see CSI, we watch these shows, and we expect, well, guilty. The DNA evidence is in. I mean, he's guilty. Besides OJ, everybody else is guilty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really amazing how much power expert witnesses have in any kind of trial, especially in criminal trials. And there's this tendency for the jury to just completely buy in. So whether it's an expert, hair analysis or handwriting analyst, or teeth mold match, anything to have some sort of tangible proof when there's no, and also eyewitness testimony.
Eyewitness testimony
is tremendously flawed. There's a lot of weight given to any witness who testifies in very uncertain terms, we have 99.98643% certainty that this defendant is the one who committed this crime. Conviction.
But that doesn't factor in human error, which is certainly possible, even if they're not looking to put their thumb on the scale for the prosecution. And then also all those people, I mean, they work in the same offices, or they socialize with them. The prosecutor comes and talks to them as though, I really need this conviction. Like you said, that is the way people are. And people are going to want to help other people who this guy's a good guy, this prosecutor, he wouldn't, lead me astray. I'm going to, help him make his case or whatever. But it also reminded me of that case in Alabama, which I wrote down the town. It's Dothan, Alabama, where the cops were systematically planting drugs and weapons on young black men, like almost 1,000 wrongful convictions that had to be thrown out. And it just goes to this question of if you are African American, who are predominantly these people are are going to be
victims
of this,
yeah,
are going to be
absolutely.
Predominantly or not, but at least weighted towards African Americans, and they are just, there's this idea like, oh, well, you must have done something wrong. But no, you don't have to do anything wrong, and you can get totally railroaded and screwed by the justice system in this country. And once you get a conviction on your record, you're fucked.